We're back talking about Pixar's latest animated film, Luca. Should it have gone straight to Disney Plus? Why is the movie description not entirely accurate on IMDb? Find out on episode 12 where we used to talk about this at work. So, hello, listeners. This one's going to be a little bit different. If you recall from the last episode, Matt said that COVID restrictions have been lightened where he lives in Japan. So he and his wife had a bit of a date night. And I really, I really wanted to record something. And everybody wants to have plans just because it's the 4th of July weekend. So I reached out to, Reddit. That's a safe place for, asking for help, right?
Oh, let me tell you about Reddit.
And I got a message from Phoenix here, from another podcast, and we are going to get into that in a bit. But this is our first guest that has a podcast. So I'd like to welcome Phoenix onto the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. No problem. So who are you?
So my name is Phoenix. I'm from the internet, which is a horrible place. My podcast is The Internet Was a Mistake. You can find it on pretty much everything except for Apple Podcasts. We talk about the horrible things of the internet and make fun of them as a way to cope. Also very, very left-leaning. So if you like left-leaning people, then come check us out.
And I will, of course, put a link to that in the show notes. So I had a question for you. Is there any particular reason why your podcast isn't on Apple Podcasts?
The only reason, honestly, so far is because I've been struggling to get the Apple account stuff set up, and they've just been having a ton of technical issues. I guess a recent update crippled a bunch of different podcasters. So that's pretty much it. I'm also I have an iPhone, but I'm not a big Apple fan personally.
Okay.
It's just it's fine. It's whatever.
I use it every single day, but it's whatever.
How dare you call me out like this?
So I guess a little behind the scenes info on our podcast journey. So when we started the podcast, this was a little bit before Apple changed up podcasts where now they have premium podcasts. So to submit a podcast, that whole site was just not working for 2 or 3 weeks before they announced that. And so I was but I want to get it on Apple. That's where the listeners are, that's where the people are.
I've had a lot of luck with Spotify so far, but I mean, if they've got their podcast stuff figured out by now, then maybe I should check them out.
So when you first, I think you in the message you sent me, I think you said the name of your podcast, or maybe I saw it on your profile. I can't remember. And so Apple was the first place I went. I was like, that's weird. And Spotify was the second place I went. So I was like, oh, okay. They must be Spotify exclusive, like Joe Rogan getting those Spotify checks.
Oh, God. I don't think I've ever been as insulted as being compared to Joe Rogan. Oof. Oof. Yeah, no, it's just laziness, honestly, on my part, and not trying super hard to get onto Apple. That's it.
No, I mean, it's all good. I get it. I get the struggle, just trying to get it in as many places as possible. So I listened to an episode, and one of the first things that struck me was that you and your co-host have a real NPR vibe. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Kind of like listening to Terry Gross or somebody, just that nice calming voice and all that, very informative. And the amount of research you put into an episode, I'm like, geez,
yeah, it's we do a ton of research, especially with some of our more recent episodes with subjects that are especially litigious. You don't want to say something that could be in any way defamatory, right? So right. Yeah, I I do a ton of research to make sure that anything that I say can be backed up by facts. I usually have anywhere from like 15 to 30 citations, just kind of depending on the subject. Yeah. So lots and lots of research goes into it. You try to be as informative as possible.
So I saw that your podcast, some of the episodes are broken into parts. So like what is recording like? So are you like recording like something like once like every 2 or 3 weeks and then you'll break it up? Like what's your recording schedule like?
Yeah, so we try to release an episode every couple weeks. We've actually gotten off track just because life has gotten in the way recently. But yeah, we try to have a new episode out every 2 weeks, which means I do all of the research and all of the writing in about 1 week. Then we record the week before we actually release the episode. And then yeah, the break things into parts just because like nobody wants to sit and listen to a 3 hour
Yes.
long
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, so we try to break it up into two different parts and try to release them pretty close within the same time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just nobody wants to listen to me talk about masturbating for 3 hours.
Like I hear you on that. The struggle is real to like we're you're a new podcaster. Like nobody knows you, so like the whole hey, I have a podcast, listen to it. Okay, sure. It's 3 hours long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's intimidating.
Yeah. Also, something that I really love about your podcast is that you have ad breaks, but they're like kind of comedy sketches, and
Yeah,
I absolutely love that. They're really funny.
yeah. Some of them are honestly just really silly, ridiculous things. But yeah, like I don't want to be beholden to what an advertiser like wants me to say. Because like that's one of the big problems with YouTube is that if you say fuck too many times, then suddenly you get demonetized, and that's just no good for anyone. So like I don't want an advertiser to be like, hey, I'm not sure if I like you talking about how capitalism is evil all the time. So could you just like not do that? So
Can you slow
instead,
down about the dick jokes? I mean, we get it.
yeah, exactly. It's so we have, people need to breathe sometimes because we talk about a lot of really heavy topics. And every once in a while, you just need that comedy relief. So, we do these silly little sketches every 20, 30 minutes or so. It's
I mean,
nice.
I didn't really think about it as like, hey, this is heavy. We need to kind of bring the mood, back up a little bit. I just thought like, okay, that's fun. Like this does feel like where an ad would be. And so,
Mhm.
you're new, so nobody, so you're like, let's fill that space. But that's a good idea. Um, that's really funny. But no, like as Matt and I have said several times, we will sell out. Please
I,
drive a dump truck full of money to our homes and you got us.
I am honestly in full support of that. I just am going
Oh,
for my cat is attacking me. I'm sorry.
yes. Just took a big chunk of your arm out. What the
Yeah,
heck?
she's learning. Just got her like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and
Okay.
she's a little under a year old, so she is still learning what is and is not a toy. Uh,
Your arm, I
yeah,
chew on that, right?
yeah. My arm is her favorite toy so far. Sorry, I got completely sidetracked. What was the question?
Um, yes. Nope. Something about
It's gone.
cats.
It's
Yeah.
gone. Gone's the ether. Gone
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you one more question about your podcast, and I'm sure you've been asked this a few times, but why do you feel like the world needs another podcast?
This is actually the first time I've been asked that. And it reminds me a
Really?
lot of when like a job interviewer will be like, so why do you want this job? It's like, well, it's because I don't have a solid reason. No, the real reason why I wanted to do this podcast was like nobody really talks about this kind of stuff. Like there are the terminally online people like me, and then there are the people who like go on Reddit and go on Facebook and they don't see the weird things. So I thought it would be a good creative exercise, especially during the pandemic when I was unemployed, and it would be nice to be, kind of informative because like nobody else is really talking about it. So
Okay. All right. I assume people would have asked you that question just because, like, I'm sure you've spoken to friends and or family and said, "Hey, I have a podcast now." Well, maybe not family, but just because of some
yeah.
of the content. But
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I've got a podcast. Like, you should give it a listen." And why? So you haven't got any pushback.
Yeah, no, nobody that I talked to about it, and I talk to everybody about it. It's kind of like my sole personality trait at this point.
Right.
Yeah, no, I've talked to tons of people about it, and they were all just like excited to listen to it because they're like, yeah, nobody's ever done something like this before, so I'm
Okay.
excited. So yeah,
All right.
I guess I've just been lucky talking to the right people.
That is a question that comes up every now and again, but So you briefly just mentioned unemployment. You're working now?
Yeah, I actually just got a job a couple weeks ago doing phone banking for the PRO Act, which is good for unions. It's gonna break up the like right to work stuff that a lot of the more conservative states have passed in recent
Okay.
years. So I've been doing that full time for a couple weeks now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how's that been going? Like, because these are basically cold calls, or how's that work?
Yeah, it's all cold calling, working from home, which is nice, but I am a very socially anxious person. So having to call people for 8 hours a day was a lot at first.
Yeah.
But it's gotten easier. It's also made it like easier to talk to strangers. So,
Hey,
it's
we're
working. I'm
strangers.
developing.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
we're
stranger.
strangers. Now, hopefully we become friends after this.
I was gonna
Hopefully.
save this for the end of the show, but we're already friends. Like, I have a couch that I need
Oh.
help moving, so if you want to come on over,
Oh,
friend, let's go.
actually,
Gotta hit that old dusty trail, huh? So you've also just say you had a new cat. What is your cat's name, if I may ask?
oh my god. So
Oh,
my cat's name is Morgana. She is a black and white cat she's named Morgana because she looks like the cat from Persona 5. Uh,
okay.
because I'm a nerd like that.
I thought you were gonna go strictly like Arthurian.
Well, it's also yes, it's
Yeah.
just very convenient. But yeah, I named her after Persona 5 specifically. Oh, here are fireworks too. Hopefully that doesn't come up on the mic too much.
Oh yeah. That is going to happen tonight and tomorrow and probably Monday.
Yeah.
I was out last Monday or this past week. I was like outside and I just heard it sounded like a rocket went off. And I'm like, is somebody dead? Like, what is happening?
Fireworks are just like terrifying sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gotten so much bigger than I remember them being as like a kid. Like
Hmm.
the ones that you could just buy at random stands on the road are just gigantic. It's terrifying.
I don't get how I'm not sure how it is where you live, but like there's like since I've been an adult, there's been like all this messaging, fireworks are illegal. And then I'm driving down the road and I see, just out of nowhere, these fireworks stands pop up. And I'm like, but I thought they were illegal. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's the same. I live in Chicago, so
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, technically speaking, fireworks are illegal within the city. But Chicago just covers so much landmass. There are so many suburbs surrounding it that it's
Hmm.
easy to just drive 15 minutes north, for example, to a small suburb, get some fireworks, and then bring them back into the city. And like, there's just no way to stop that from happening, I guess. And there's every single city and town and municipality has their own separate laws, and it's just
It's a
wild.
mess. It
You
is a
know,
mess. Ugh. But yeah, I guess be safe. Hopefully it doesn't scare your cat.
she'll be fine. She's been listening to the fireworks all week already, and
Okay.
doesn't seem to affect her too much.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
And then you've been playing DBZ. This is a video game, right?
Yeah, it's a computer game. It's Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. It's like an adventure RPG type thing or an action RPG in the Dragon Ball series. And I've logged like 50 hours into it in the past couple weeks. It is way more fun than it has any right to be.
Okay. So are you a fighting game type person?
I've been known to play a couple fighting games in my time.
Yeah, I know the Tekkens and the Mortal Kombat. It's just
I mean, we could play couple rounds. If you want to bet money on it, I mean, I'm not that good, so you
Mhm.
know, it's
So I guess like slowly dipping a toe into something I'm going to talk about. I'm not a fan of fighting games or driving games or sports games unless Mario is in them.
hey, that is completely fair. Like, yeah, I don't really care about driving games at all, or sports games. The listeners can't see me, but I am a noodle person. I'm just made of pure noodles. I have no muscle mass to me. So I was never able to play sports as a child. So getting to play as like Mario playing golf or something, it's great. I love it. So yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. So like I'll play some Smash Brothers. I'm gonna lose, but I have more tolerance for that than like a Tekken or what have you, you know.
Yeah, Smash is a lot more just like silly fun.
Yeah, like the
At least among
items, like
friends.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like why would you turn the items off? That's the best part. No, this
Yeah,
is a serious
exactly.
fighting game. Not to me.
It's Mario fighting Solid Snake, my friend. How serious do you think it is?
So are you from the East Coast?
No, I'm not. I'm actually from Oklahoma originally, funnily
Okay,
enough.
I just asked that because you say Mario.
I
I thought
okay,
that was like
so
a East
yeah,
Coast thing.
it is. I actually picked it up several years ago, just saying Mario from like some YouTuber I used to watch as a child, and it really annoyed all of my friends in Oklahoma. They'd be like, "No, it's pronounced Mario." And it's like, "That's what I'm saying. It's Mario." And they'd just lose their minds, and I just never stopped doing it because that's just what I do. I start saying something ironically, and then it never stops.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, that tends to be how it goes, right? It's just, yeah, this is funny. Oh God, I can't stop this
it, I unironically like it now. What have I become?
now. Be you.
So, yeah, I mean
Be
that's
that person in the Midwest that doesn't say Mario.
got to be unique. Yeah, that I feel like I've been talking too much. It feels weird. I don't like the focus being on me. So how are you? How are things going with you?
Um, Overall good, I'd say right now. So, I got Mario Golf last week, I think, whenever it came out. And I was very surprised that Nintendo released a game with a day one patch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And they've also released stuff saying, hey guys, so here's the deal. You're gonna get a whole bunch of free content over the next year or so because this game's not finished.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's
Wow,
like
Nintendo.
it's an okay amount of characters and then like not a lot of courses. And so over the next year or so, we're gonna get more, and I assume more modes. And I'm just like, this hashtag not my Nintendo, you know?
They did the same thing with Mario Party, didn't they? Like the most recent one. Like
I
initially
mean,
only had 4 courses and like 10 characters or something.
yes, I don't believe they actually came out and said, "Hey, in 3 years we're gonna come out with some more content." Because that's
Three
what,
years.
because it was like 2 or 3 years. Like it came out
Oh.
and people were like, "This is okay," and then like just recently they're like, "Hey, y'all want some online on that game?" So it had to have been like at least 2 or 3 years after it came out where they
They
had a big
only
update.
just now added online. Oh my god.
Yes,
My
yes.
my Switch has been broken for a couple years now. Like I was one of the people who suffered from like the Joy-Con drift, and
Oh, yeah.
like the Joy-Cons are $60 a piece. So being
Yes.
unemployed, I
Yeah,
have not had my Switch in a while.
I understand.
But yeah, that's just crazy to me that they only just now put online in Mario Party. That's just
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't get what this Nintendo is. Like, I'm guessing like because of the pandemic, like Nintendo isn't like other companies where like for Nintendo Japan does everything.
Yeah.
And Nintendo America, they are just a PR company.
Yeah.
So they don't really have a great setup for work from home in Japan, apparently. And so a lot of stuff kind of got messed up. I mean, that doesn't explain the Mario Party stuff, but maybe that's what's
No,
going on
but
with golf.
huh. Well, I don't know. At the same time, like Nintendo is historically this great company, but they have also like re-released all of their classic games from like the 90s like
Mm-hmm.
16 times.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I
and
bought
it's
them at least 12 times.
I hey, same. I have bought Majora's Mask more times than I care to admit.
A classic.
And Link to the Past. Yeah.
Ocarina of Time. Like, how many dang times have they released that?
Look, I am a slut for Nintendo, and I will be the first one to admit it. Nintendo, give us money. Specifically, this podcast. I'm advertising for Nintendo right now.
Thank you for being a shill. We that is a pillar of this podcast. I bought Mario. Well, I own Mario, like 3 copies of Mario 64.
It's the best one. It's the best one. I love it.
I would say it's the best 3D one. In my opinion, the best one is Super Mario World from Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
But that's my opinion. I don't,
Ooh, yeah. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's tough. I do love Super Mario World. I came up that was the first video game that I played as a kid. So,
right.
Ooh, it's tough.
Back when you got a free game with a brand new system, I think they gave you both controllers.
Yeah.
You're all set.
I think they actually used to give you like 2 games too. I think the Super Nintendo came with Mario Paint and Super Mario World.
I didn't have Paint. I remember Mario, Super Mario World. I can't remember if there were any other things that came with it. It's a little fuzzy. I'm an old man now. I'm getting a little gray here.
30 years ago. It's fine.
So I'm not sure if we're actually going to do an episode on it, but I saw the first like 50 minutes of that new Chris Pratt movie, The Tomorrow War. Have you checked it out or seen anything about it?
No, I actually haven't followed Chris Pratt in a while, just because he has some pretty strong beliefs that I don't agree with. Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't fault you for that. Like, I don't really care for Chris Pratt either, but I'm like, okay, it's Amazon is already getting my money, and we have Prime, and so I'm like, okay, well, let's check this out. And then I saw some stuff where another controversial figure, Tom Cruise, it has like a vibe of the Edge of Tomorrow. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow is killer movie.
Yes, or Live, Die, Repeat, depending on when you've seen that movie.
Yeah, I was actually working in a movie theater when it came out, so I actually had to learn pretty quickly because the poster said Live, Die, Repeat, but all the other marketing material was called The Edge of Tomorrow, so I got 50-50 on if people would get the name right. So I'm pretty flexible and used to either title.
So I love that movie. And so I'm like, it's got a vibe of that. So basically the movie is the year is 2022, and people from the year 2050, they come to our time and they're like, hey, aliens have come, they're wiping us out. We need to take some of you guys to the future to help fight this war. Not we're going to build up infrastructure so that, stuff is, we're going to be ready for this invasion in 30 years. No. We need to take you to the future.
Time travel is always such a sticky thing to play with.
Yes.
And taking someone from 30 years ago, that just doesn't make any sense.
So I will say this. Once you get into the movie, they thought about a lot of stuff. So spoilers for the first 50 minutes of the movie. You slowly, the character Chris Pratt and his black sidekick, we're going to call him that in the movie. They slowly realize what the criteria is for like enlisting people. So they're intentionally picking people that aren't alive at the point when they go in the future. So when they are like running tests on Chris Pratt, they make a mention that he dies in 2030. And so like they aren't trying to create paradoxes. So he's shot to the future because he doesn't exist in 2050. And anybody that exists like as a child in 2022, they weren't sent back to train the people. Like because the people that were sent in the past, they're like kind of young, like not like teenager like CW young, but like early 20s young, or just enlisted young, because they don't exist in this time, so there's no paradox.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you thought about this movie. Like, movie was a little rocky at the beginning because it was a lot of Chris Pratt, and I don't like Chris Pratt. But once Black Sidekick came on, I'm like, oh, shouldn't hit the table. Let's go.
I'm just disappointed that we I don't know why I'm disappointed. I don't know why I'm surprised that in Year of Our Lord 2021 we still have the black sidekick trope instead of just like, why do we have Chris Pratt instead of? It's fine.
It's not
It's
fine.
not. It's not fine.
It's not. My last thing on this is like they wait until about the actual 50-minute mark. They draw it out a long time before you actually see the aliens, and they are fucking horrifying. And so I applaud the marketing for not spoiling that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that's
do
impressive.
hate that this movie opens like with him jumping into the future for a scene with absolutely no context, and the scene is like less than 1 minute, and then they're like, "Now here's the beginning of the story," and I'm like, "Stop fucking doing that! Like, just start the movie where the movie starts."
Right. Yeah. No, it's an exhausting trope. Seen it way
Yes.
too many times at this point.
Like I've seen it done proper like one time, like not so much in an action movie, but it was like a drama where it opens with the guy, he's knocking on his girlfriend's door, like begging her to take him back, and she's like, "No, fuck you," and then there's another dude in the background, and I'm like, "Oh damn, she cheated on, like, not cheated on him, but like she moved on this quickly." And then the movie starts, and then when you get back to that scene you have different context for it, and he was actually cheating on her, and like that was actually her friend, like, "Hey, fuck this dude." That he was there
Yeah.
for support, not trying to get with her. And so
Yeah.
like I appreciate it. Like that is how you should do that. Like, give me context when we come back
Yeah.
to this scene.
Definitely. Yeah. But yeah, just giving a whole bunch of just unnecessary prattle for 30 minutes before getting into the meat of the movie. Like, I might be in the minority, but I don't think movies need to be 2.5, 3 hours long. I appreciate a good 100-minute movie.
You don't want some character development?
I'm fine with character development. I think there's better ways to do that instead of just making movies bloated.
Hmm.
Like I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League a while back, which
You didn't
want to
enjoy
talk
that
about bloat.
4-hour epic?
God, the worst part about it was that there were some things I actually really loved, but it was just so slogged down. And like some of my least favorite scenes were other people's like favorite scenes, like the one with the Flash grabbing a hot
Oh,
dog to feed to the
that
dogs.
15-minute scene of him in going super fast.
Yeah, the 15-minute scene of a car crash
Yeah, yeah,
that all takes place in the matter of like a minute in universe. Yeah,
yeah.
it was unnecessary. I didn't care for it.
How could you not love that scene of Jason Momoa going into the water and those women singing and sniffing his coat? Like that's just like Oscar worthy, you know?
I'm most upset that there wasn't more Superman is Jesus imagery.
I mean, that tends to be, the theme of every Superman movie, so
And that's why Zack Snyder's Justice League was a crap movie. You just wasn't enough of it.
Fair enough. No, I agree. Like, it didn't need to be 4 hours long. They could have gotten that down to like 2 hours and some change. Like, there was a lot of
Yeah.
unnecessary stuff.
Well, a lot of that was WB was like, okay, so the original cut was trash. It got like just lambasted by everyone. So here, have an extra $100 million to make it a good movie, and it just wasn't. But yeah, all of that to say, movies are getting way longer than they really need to be, in my opinion. I think some of them can definitely stand to be, 3 hours, but most of them don't need it. They don't.
No, I agree and respect that. That feels like a good time to transition to this week's movie. This week we're talking about Luca.
Everything good is above the surface. Walking, air, the sky, clouds, the sun. Whoa, don't look at it. Just kidding. Definitely look at it.
Your life is so much cooler than mine. There's a million things you think you can't do. All you need is a chance to try.
On the Italian Riviera, an unlikely but strong friendship grows between a human being and a sea monster disguised as a human. So, usually when I prep for these episodes, like I will throw in whatever IMDb says is the description, just to give the good people an idea of what this movie is about. And
that doesn't work.
I want to know who wrote that, because that is
sort of accurate.
That's part of it, but we are kind of neglecting another character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Phoenix, what were your thoughts on Luca?
So I really loved Luca personally. I thought it was fantastic. Whenever I first read the description of the movie, I thought that it was going to be like another good dinosaur, which I was less fond of. But it actually turned out to just be a really cute movie, just really sweet. Not as funny as some of the other Pixar movies, but
Right.
there was I read a lot of gay subtext to the whole story, which I am very gay myself. So I was very pleased to see that.
Yes. So I couldn't unsee that. And I'm like, okay, respect. This is where we're going,
Yeah.
Pixar. Like, look at you being progressive. A story about two young boys, one, discovering, who he is. One could say.
Oh yeah.
Is he a sea creature? Is he a human? Is he something in between? Are we actually saying something else here? The whole little love story between them, Luca
So
and
cute.
Alberto.
Yeah.
I got a strong friendship between Luca and Julia, but Alberto was reading that as, oh, hey, don't get too close to her because I like you,
Right. Yeah.
the jealousy. And I guess, okay, so I always do this, like I want to kind of give some context of what this movie's about, like the events.
Yes.
So Luca's a sea creature and he's very curious. He's a curious kid. So one day he runs into another sea creature boy, Alberto, and he follows him out of the water, and Alberto's like, hey, the land world is not as bad as you've been told. Let's hang out. They learn about Vespas, and they're like, we should have a Vespa.
Should also point out that Luca's parents are very, very overprotective.
Yes.
Very, very much like Nemo's dad in Finding Nemo, where they just want him to be within eyesight at all times. And then Alberto's dad is not there. Yeah, Luca is very jealous of Alberto's freedom.
Yes.
It's kind of a key thing.
Yes. So eventually Luca's parents find out that he's been going above water. And I guess when sea creatures go above water and they're dry, they turn into human people. So they're like freaked out by this, and they call for an uncle that lives in the faraway depths. And they're like, hey, so we don't really like what you're doing here. We're going to send you to conversion therapy. I mean, we're going to send you away to stay with your uncle, where this just won't be a thing that we have to see.
Yeah, it's a corrective type thing of like, well, maybe if you go into the far, far depths, then you won't be as tempted by the surface anymore.
Perhaps, out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah, it's so just awful response on Luca's parents' parts, but I loved Uncle Ugo. I thought he was hilarious. Fantastic character.
Voiced by Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, that makes sense.
Did you hang out for the after credit scene?
God, no, I didn't. I didn't know there was an after credit scene.
So,
of course there was, though.
Marvel has trained me to do a Google search after every single movie I watch is over.
You think I'd have learned that by now.
So basically it's just the uncle just riffing, Sacha Baron Cohen just going off. It's funny and cute.
It's great. I'll have to look that up.
So Luca runs away from home, and he and Alberto go to the human town, where they meet Julia with a G, not a J, and they form a kinship, and they decide to get into the little race. It's like kind of like a triathlon where they're swimming, there's a food portion, and it ends in a bike race. And Julia has lost every year she's entered. and she's kind of like, I wouldn't say an embarrassment of the town, but the last time she did the event, she vomited. And so like that's all people talk about. She's, they
I think
make
it was
fun of her.
something that happened like every single year was that she would like vomit on the bike part because it was immediately after the food part. So
Yeah.
that's why she was called Spulia in the movie.
And we meet our antagonist, Ercole.
Yeah,
I'm
Eric
not.
Coley.
Yeah, I'm
Eric
not
Coley.
super good with these Italian names. Also, let me roll back for a second. So when this movie started and Lucas started speaking, I genuinely thought it was the young man that played Miguel in Coco. Like he kind of sounded like him to me.
Yeah, there's some similarity. I can see that.
But I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's Room Boy, Jacob Tremblay.
Oh, yeah, so it is. Huh.
So Ecoli, he's the antagonist. He's probably like 22 or something like that. But this is like a kids event, but he keeps saying like he's like 16. So that's kind of funny. He's like growing facial hair, and he's the bully
It's
of the
really
town.
awful facial hair too. It's hilarious.
So Alberto and Luca, they end up staying with Julia and her dad until the event starts. Luca's parents find out that Luca went to the surface, so they go up to try and find him. There's some training. There's the boys learning, more about the human world. There is strong jealousy of Alberto towards Luca and Julia's friendship. And eventually, Alberto outs himself as an sea creature. And
Yes.
in a very heartbreaking scene, Luca basically turns on Alberto when he shows what he truly is, and that was really sad.
Yeah, I cried at that part. And something else is that like Julia's dad really started to like love Luca and Alberto as well, which was really sweet to watch.
Yeah.
Because his like fishing business just wasn't doing too well, and then Alberto came in and helped him improve his business. So they had a kinship, and then whenever Juliet's dad found out that Alberto was a sea monster, it's just sad. It's like, oh no, this guy who's known for hunting sea monsters just found out that my friend is a sea monster.
And also, like, he knew that they were runaways, and he was just like, this kid needs help. This kid needs a family, and he was trying to be there for him. So that's I also read that as another reason why he went to try and find him when he went missing. So eventually Luca realizes like, hey, like that was a dick move. I'm gonna go and try and find Alberto, make this up, like, hey man, I'm sorry. He also outs himself to Julia. I believe that was the sequence of events. Not sure if you something.
Yeah.
So we have the race. It starts raining, and once water touches a sea creature, like they revert to their sea creature form. So Luca's like in the shade, trying to make sure that he doesn't expose himself. He doesn't let the town find out, his true self. And here comes Alberto, just running along with the umbrella, trying to save his good friend, and that was really cute too. That was heartwarming.
It's very sweet.
Yeah, but sadly, they are both exposed as sea creatures, and the town starts to turn on them. They inadvertently win the race, but they go back to try and help Julia, who kind of like
she sacrificed her chance to win. Because it meant stopping Erico or whatever his name is.
Yeah, from hurting the boys.
Yep.
It was really adorable.
It was great. She's the true hero, Ercole.
So the movie ends with Luca's family accepting that, hey, I want to be above water. That doesn't mean I hate my family. This is something that I want, and they support him in going to human school with Julia. And Alberto, he stays with Julia's father because he just gained a surrogate father figure.
Yep.
So yes, there was gay subtext all over this movie. I was here for it. It was beautiful.
It was great up until like the last line that the grandma had of like, oh, well, some people are never going to accept it, but he's going to be happier that way, where all the subtlety went to just like the Hulk bursting through the wall to punch me in the face with the point. Like, little bit too obvious there, but
yeah,
I still loved it. It's still great.
So my wife and I started this murder documentary on Netflix called Sophie, A Murder in the West Cork in West Cork. Have you heard of it?
I have not, no.
So it's a documentary. In the 1990s in Ireland, a French woman was found killed and in a seaside town in Ireland. And something that they kind of touched on was that in this sea town, and I assume in others as well, they're a little bit more progressive than other areas, just because this is a place where a lot of different kinds of people come in and out. And
Sure.
so we saw that the first part is 3 parts on Netflix. We saw the first part maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and I watched this movie Friday. And so like yes, it happened super quick, but the scene where like Julia's dad was like, hey guys, don't be assholes, like yes, they're sea creatures, we don't need to actually kill them, like we are better than this, we can be accepting.
Yeah.
That instantly made me think of that, to where one of the things that they talked about was like, this is 1990s Ireland, and they were interviewing a woman that's lesbian, and she was like, I was welcomed with open arms in this community. And I believe they just recently passed gay marriage in Ireland, I believe. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot for your research.
Yeah, I have not been like up to date on Ireland, so I'm not entirely sure when they actually legalized it. I feel like they were way ahead of the curve though.
2019.
God, really? Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, but
wow,
this town was cool with it in the 1990s. So like going into it with that in mind, I'm like, okay, well, this happened super quick for everyone to change their prejudices against sea monsters. But I could see that being a thing here versus like if this happened like in a city,
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of conflicted on the whole town just immediately coming around to them being sea monsters. For like the entire movie, they had been like building up that the complete humans were just super anti sea monster. Like there were like warning posters all over the place. There were like news articles that were shown briefly about like sea monster sighting, and everybody was gearing up and always had harpoons near them to hunt sea monsters. So like it seemed like their entire culture and history had been built and focused around hunting sea monsters. So when these 2 kids were like, yeah, hey, we're sea monsters, suddenly everyone was like, okay, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Which granted, like Juliet's dad, big guy, kind of scary guy, like coming forward, like they're fine, they're good, like I know them, they're good. I don't know, it just didn't seem super well developed. I think if the kids had spent some more time like getting to know the townsfolk and befriending them, it would have been a little bit better. But that would have been kind of a lot to stuff into an hour and 40 minutes,
right?
Especially for a kids movie.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, like we got to wrap this shit up, so let's go.
Yeah.
Also there were some sea monsters living among you already.
Yeah, which that was cute. I liked the 2 old ladies living among the people.
So what are your thoughts? This movie was supposed to get a theatrical run, and then out of nowhere Disney was like, actually this shit's going straight to Disney Plus, no paywall. What are your thoughts on that?
I really have to wonder if like how blatantly gay the story is had something to do with that, because Disney does not have a good tracker. Like every single year for the past like 7 years,
Yes,
Disney has been like,
yes.
check out our first openly gay character, and it's just like
Yes.
someone holding hands in the background that you have to do like a Where's Waldo to find.
Something
just,
they can easily remove when the movie goes to China.
yeah, like China and Russia and other just like anti-gay countries. So just super small things. So I think this entire story being about like Luca and Alberto and their very gay relationship, like that's probably why it went directly to Disney Plus. So like it's frustrating, but at the same time, I appreciate that it was so like easily accessible. Yeah, no, I just don't trust Disney's like reasoning for it.
I can't remember. A few months back, we did an episode on the Mitchells versus the Machines. I can't remember if I cut this out because that one went really long. But that's something that I found very frustrating with that movie. The main character, the daughter, she is a lesbian, but
yeah, she's lesbian or bi, something like that.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna kind of acknowledge that, but depending on where you watching this, you won't actually see a scene confirming that,
Yeah, like it wasn't confirmed until like the end credits scene or something like that, or mid credits
and
scene.
it was like an offhand line too.
Yeah, it was a line that could be very easily misinterpreted by the less knowing. Yeah, it's a lot of Hollywood does that, and it's frustrating. Although Mitchell was in the first of the Machines, I did love it because the little brother was like autistic and very clearly autistic, and it was just great to see that kind of representation.
I really like the art style; it was really cool.
Yes, yeah. No, it's just Hollywood is just terrified of those kind of like positive progressive messages spreading in other countries, and it's got a long history of that too. It's like back in the 30s and 40s, Hollywood would like very happily censor things to please Nazi Germany, because otherwise like none of their movies would be allowed to show there, and then that's a whole ass country that they're not getting the revenue from. So like Hollywood has always been a bunch of cowards just bowing to oppressive regimes.
Yes. I don't know. Like I want to say that, I blame Bob Chapek for this, but but no, like they would have did it either. Well, I don't know, like the very fact that they were allowed to actually make it, which would have been under Bob Iger.
Yeah.
I feel like it probably would have gotten a theatrical run under him.
Yeah, it might have. I think the pandemic might have just been a very convenient excuse to not give it a theatrical release as well. Yes. So I think there are a number of factors that kind of went into it.
I had one other thought too. So today I was really hungry. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get some McDonald's. And I usually just do the app because on the app they have like coupons and stuff you can use. And so like I did the app, but I still went through the drive-through. And as I'm going through as I'm at the drive-through waiting on them to say, hey, what, how can we help you? I'm looking on the menu and they have Luca Happy Meal toys.
Really?
Yes. And I was like, shit, if I had known that, I genuinely would have bought a Happy Meal just to, bring it on the show, like post some pictures on the social media. But I'm like, that's cool. Like, I can't tell you the last Happy Meal Disney movie toy I had. Don't remember.
I think mine was like a Tarzan related thing, I think.
Yes. But I was like, that's kind of cool that that's still alive. I mean, I don't really... Now I've got a 1-year-old and my nephews are how are they? 6 and 4. So they don't do a lot of fast food. So I'm kind of wondering, like, do kids care about that these days versus back when we were younger,
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you. I don't talk to kids very often. I actually cannot tell you the last time I even saw a kid. I'm beginning to think that they might have just been a figment of my imagination. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. I don't know. Just old person brain. Just like, back in my day, we had this. But do you kids even appreciate this?
No, you just care about your TikToks.
On those damn dances and other things I will quickly not understand. All right, so we're gonna hop on over to trivia. What do you think the Rotten Tomato score of Luca is?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess 86%.
It is 90% on the tomato meter, 88% audience score. We both agree this is a really good movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I would have personally given it like about the 90-ish score. I just guessed 86 because I know some people can be kind of crabby, but
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Paddington 2 dropping its number 100% tomato meter score recently because of one crabby dude.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it, but I hear like that movie's like amazing.
It's fantastic. I love the little bear.
I'm gonna have to get off my butt, check it out. So I don't really like doing this when there's one other person, but I spent like all of like 20 minutes trying to throw this together. So we're gonna do a trivia question, like just A, B, or C.
Cool.
So one of the posters at the plaza is in the movie. One of the posters at the plaza is which water-based classic Disney-owned film? A, Treasure Island, which came out in 1950. B, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which came out in 1954. Or C, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea in 1961. Oh my God, the way your eyes are like popping out, like, oh shit.
Oh God, I don't even remember that. I'm gonna guess B though, because it seems like the most thematically fitting.
You are correct.
Boom.
So so I read, what I usually do is like I'll read the IMDb trivia and like I'll make a question out of that. And so I was like, what are water-based Disney movies? And they was like, well, they made Treasure Island. I'm like, okay. What else you got for me? Little Mermaid. So I was like, okay. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea is a Fox movie.
Oh, so like they technically.
Yeah, so like I was like, here's the little twist here,
I was just thinking, like, I've never even heard of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. What?
Same, but they're doing something in the water. All right, so let's do some trivia dump. Out of all the characters in the film, Luca has the largest eyes proportional to his head, since he is so curious and eager to take everything in. When Luca falls off his bike and hits his head, Luca sees anchovies and not stars because he was told by Alberto that stars are in fact anchovies. Many Pixar employees are upset at the move to make the film a Disney Plus exclusive, putting out public statements that doing it with Soul in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic was understandable, but doing it twice in a row, even with the vaccine rollout ramp out and not even putting it behind a premium wall like Raya and the Last Dragon, which was really good, started to give the impression that the studio isn't respected by Disney execs. The story was too gay. I'm sorry. They were afraid.
Yeah, I think it was that they were afraid. And it's so weird that they might be right. Like, I feel like Pixar did have a bit of time where they were like sliding down. It's like the Good Dinosaur did not do as well as like Toy Story. And then
Finding Dory was a little weak.
Yeah, Finding Dory was a little bit of a letdown.
Incredibles 2.
So I can see Disney being a little bit more apprehensive, but I mean, Pixar is still such a huge name that it's just weird that Disney wouldn't have faith in Pixar.
Yeah, and Soul was quite good as well. Like, I get it, but I didn't get it because I'm like, yes, I'm happy that I don't have to pay for this, but I wish that this could have made money somehow.
Yeah, I definitely think that Soul would have made pretty good amounts of money, especially like last year and just kind of the cultural atmosphere of last year.
Yeah. Did you see Raya and the Last Dragon?
I haven't actually seen that one. It's been kind of sitting at the bottom of my list, and I've got hundreds of movies that I need to get caught up on. But yeah, I've heard that it's really good. Heard it's very similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which
I mean, you can't actually say that unless you want to get canceled, right?
It's fine. I'm not worried about getting canceled. It's already happened to Lindsay Ellis, so most of the like
That's
big
what I was
blow-ups already
referencing.
happened.
Yeah, so it's no longer on the paywall now, and I loved it, but my only complaint is that it's a Disney movie. And so like a core Disney movie, not like a Disney owned movie. So there are some things that happen at the end of the movie where as an audience member, I felt such a powerful emotion. but they couldn't even begin to even touch how I was feeling because we had to play this safe. Like this is almost a G-rated movie, and like a character does something like reprehensible, and the way that they resolve that just pissed me off so much.
It's so weird that like Disney has it's become like so soft on those things because like Aladdin, Jafar did some horrible, terrifying things to people. Like he didn't kill anybody directly, but tons of body horror. And then Lion King, Scar straight up murders Mufasa in front of everyone. It's traumatizing. And now like they just, I don't know, they are afraid to do things that are like shocking.
Yeah, the power of friendship solves everything, just so you know.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So like it is a good movie. I feel like it would have been better served as like a TV show, in that like Disney, whichever that they own like 2 or 3 TV stations, like whichever one is like for teenagers, where like they had like DuckTales or whatever on. Like I don't have cable, but like I know they own like more than one channel. It's like not like regular Disney Channel, but one of the other ones where it's not as much oversight, so they can get away with some stuff. Because like this really needed less of a Disney oversight. Let's see, got 2 more bits of trivia. Luca works as a fish shepherd with 24 fish that he looks after. This film is marked as the 24th feature animated film created by Pixar. And the last bit is, at the very end of the credits, it says produced in our slippers around the Bay Area due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is the first movie that was made entirely at home, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I also really loved the fish. They were just absolutely adorable.
They were adorable. So I forgot that they were that they ate the fish, because there's a scene in the movie where Luca and Alberto showed Julia's dad where to get fish, and I'm like, you just gonna just put your fish friends out there to get murdered? But I'm like, wait, they eat them too, so
Yeah, it wasn't like super clear if they ate them, because Luca seemed pretty attached and like had named all of his little like fish that he herded.
But he's like a little farm boy, where it's like, oh yeah, I name all my livestock before we kill them. That was my read on it. Because like
I guess that is the thing that happens. Like Charlotte's Web set the precedent of naming the farm animals that are going to get slaughtered.
Yeah. All right. So this is a lot of fun, but sadly, this is the part where we have to stop. So I want to thank you so much, Phoenix, for coming on. If you want to give a plug for your podcast and our social media one more time before we roll out.
Yeah. So you can find the podcast on pretty much everywhere except for Apple. It's called The Internet Was a Mistake. And then you can find me on Twitter at Phoenix TIWAM.
All right. Thank you very much. Like I said, we're friends now. So I'm in St. Louis, so that's like a 4-hour drive. So you can come on down like tomorrow or the day after to help me with that couch. Appreciate it, friend.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for listening. Please rate, like, and review our podcast on your platform of choice. If you have any feedback, please email us at weusedtotalkpod@gmail.com. Like our Facebook page, We Used to Talk About This at Work, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at We Used to Talk Pod. So thank you so much. This was a fun episode.
Yeah, no, I was very glad to do it. It's very exciting. It's a great podcast. I've already listened to a bunch of the episodes. So yeah, it's wonderful. I hope I can do it again sometime.
I have the same feeling. I think you'd like Matt. Matt's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, based off the episodes I've listened to, he seems really funny as well.
Yeah. Don't tell him that to his face. We don't want his head to get too big. All right, that's the show, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.